Hi everyone, welcome back. In the last video, we initialized our React application. We also made the UI of our application. This is how our application will look like. And in this video, we are going to learn about JSX and components. Our app is running on localhost 5173. This is our application, and this is the code of our application. You can see there are lots of folders, there are lots of files here, but for this video we only need one file, that is app.jsx. So where this app.jsx file is, it is present here in source folder. If you open this source folder, you will see app.jsx file over here. Click on this app.jsx folder. You see a lot of code, but see over here, Vite plus React. This code looks like HTML. Yeah, it is sort of an HTML code. You see Vite plus React over here, where here, and if I open our application, you see Vite plus React over here. You see count is, edit source app, edit source slash app. So what we can conclude from this is that this page is built by this code. If I remove this code, this page will be gone. So yeah, this page code, so the page is gone because we deleted the code of that page, and we will be making our own page over here. We are going to build our navigation bar and a search bar here in this page. How we can make a navigation bar and search bar here? Let us first revise some JavaScript concept. Let us write an arrow function that returns your name. So let me write an arrow function that returns your name, and let me name it my name. This function returns your name, whatever your name is, this function returns. So it returns my name. So what we did, we wrote an arrow function that returns your name. Now if I refresh this page, I don't see any name over here because we haven't exported this function yet. So export this function, do an default export of this function, export default, whatever the name of the function is, my name. Save the file, go to this page, and you'll see your name over here. What is this default export? What is named export? What is default export? What is name export? We are going to discuss in later modules, but for now you have to write export default my name to see your name over here. So what we did, basically what we did, we wrote a function. We wrote a function that returns your name, and we are seeing a name over here. Okay, this is, I think this is clear. I think this is clear. Now let me make a div, or let me create h1 tag. Okay, let me create an h1 tag. In this h1 tag, write your name again. So what we did, instead of that string, we are creating an h1 tag. Now what we are going to do, let us just cut this h1 tag from here and replace it with this string. Save it and see. Okay, so instead of that string, we are seeing this h1 tag over here. This h1 tag is looking like an HTML tag, but it is not an HTML tag. This is what we called JSX. React developers introduced this JSX to write React. Okay, so this JSX exactly look like HTML, but it has a lot of features on top of HTML. Okay, so what is JSX? JSX is basically an extension of JavaScript file. What is JSX? Extension of JavaScript file. And what is this my name function? Basically in React, this my name function is known as component. So what is a component in React? A component in React is a JavaScript function that returns a JSX. Let me write this definition so that you can remember it. A component, a component in React is a JavaScript function that returns JSX. And what is JSX? JSX stands for JavaScript XML. What is JavaScript XML? It is an extension of JavaScript which looks like HTML, but it is not HTML. It gives you a lot of features we will see in our later modules. But for now, I think you understood what a JSX is. A JSX is a JavaScript extension that will help us to write React code. And what is a component? A component is a JavaScript function that returns JSX. Okay, so we wrote my name component. Let us write another component. How do we write a component? First, let me write const my friend's name, where this component is your friend's name, equal to an arrow function. I'm using arrow function. You can use simple functions too. It returns the name of my friend. Let's return the name of let's do h2 over here. Okay, and let's return React. Okay, but we did that, but I don't see any React over here. I am seeing Arvind over here, my name over here, but I don't see React over here. Okay, so now here comes the magic of JSX. In JSX, what you can do, first of all, what this is a component. Basically, this is a JavaScript function. In JSX, what you can do, in curly braces, you can write JavaScript. You can, since this is a function, I can call it inside this. So my name, call this function, and do you see React over here? So now you see the difference between HTML and JSX. In JSX, inside curly braces, you can write any JavaScript. And what is a component? A component is nothing but a JavaScript function that returns a JSX. So we wrote two components, my name component and my friend name component. Let me delete everything from this folder. And if I go over here, okay, if I go over here, I see a blank page. Now you understand why we are getting a blank page over here, a white page over here. So now let's write a new function and let's call it app function. So const app is equals to arrow function that it returns. Let's return the name of our application, that is Prime Video. So Prime Video. Let's see. It is not showing Prime Video. Can anybody tell me why we are not getting Prime Video here? This is the code, and I am giving you a couple of seconds to think why we are not getting Prime Video over there. So we are not getting Prime Video there because we haven't exported this function yet. So to get Prime Video there, we need to export this function. So export default app. Now if I refresh this, I can see Prime Video over here. Let me delete the CSS from this index.css file. We don't need that because in the next module we are going to use Tailwind to do all the CSS stuff. So delete the CSS from index.css file, and now we have our Prime Video. Okay, now let's make another component and let's call it Navbar, because our main goal of this video is to make this navigation bar. Not exactly like this, but yeah, something like that. So to make a navigation bar component, what we want, first do const navbar, and in React, the name of a component should always start with a capital letter. That is why I am using a capital letter. So navbar equal to an arrow function. It returns, let's say return a string navbar. Should I return a string? No, let's return a div. that says Navbar. Okay, I'm refreshing this page. I'm not seeing any Navbar over here. Can anybody tell why I am not getting Navbar here? Why I am not getting Navbar over there? So the answer is simple. We are not getting that because we haven't called this function yet. So in app, we need to call this function, and to call this function, you have to do a curly braces, name of the function, like the way you do function call in JavaScript, and you should see navbar over here. Okay, so we have a navigation bar. Let's make our own navbar. So in navbar, what we want a basically we want the name of our application, that is Prime Video, and another thing that we want is avatar. So I don't have any avatar, so let write this avatar. That's it, and let's do styling over here. So to do styling over here, what we need is this style display flex. Let's use gap 20 pixel. Okay, so we have our Prime Video avatar. I know this looks really bad, but this is how my styling is. Okay, since we are going to use tailwind from the next video, don't worry about this in this video. Okay, align item, or should I say item, align item center. Okay, so now this looks even good. So we have this navigation bar, and also let's make it background color black, not black, blue. Okay, so we have a navigation bar. Okay, so let us remove this Prime Video from here, and our navigation bar is ready. Let us add and search. Okay, okay, but before that, adding a search bar in our navigation bar, let me tell you, instead of calling this function in React, we can do something like this. Okay, instead of calling this function, we can do this navbar like this. So this and the thing that we did, this calling the function, are exactly the same. We use this format. This format is not used. We use this format. So let us skip using this format from now on, because in every application, if you have seen the React code, everyone uses this notation. So we are not going to use that notation from now on. We are not going to call this function. We are going to render this function this way. This is how it is done. So we have a navigation bar. Okay, now let us make a new component. So what is a component? A component is a JavaScript function that returns a JSX. So let us make a new component. Let's call it search bar. Search bar is equals to an arrow function. It returns a JSX. So write a JSX. What we want a input field. The type text, and placeholder should be search videos series dot dot dot. And we also need a button. So a button that will say search. Okay, we are not getting search bar over here. Can anybody tell why we are not getting search button over here? Because we haven't called this function. So let us call this function search bar. Instead of doing this, let us now use the other notation of rendering a component inside a component. So search bar this way. So we have two notations of rendering a component inside a component. So what we are doing over here, we are rendering this navigation bar and the search bar inside application. Okay, we can also render our search bar, that search bar, inside our navigation bar. So let me show you how we can. Okay, so do you see let me remove this search bar from here. I am rendering navbar inside application, and I am rendering search bar inside my navbar. So what I am doing, I am rendering one component inside a component. Again, what is a component? A component is a JavaScript function that returns JSX, and you can build a lot of components. You can make a lot of components and reuse them. For example, I built search bar over here, and if I want to use search bar in my app component, I can use it in here. If I want to use my search bar in navigation bar, I can use it over here. So this search bar is a component, is a reusable component that we are going to use in many places in our application. And this is how you write components, this is how you write JSX. Now your goal is to write a footer for your application, footer for this application. And in the next video, what we are going to do, we are going to install Tailwind and do some CSS for our navigation bar, because our navigation bar looks really bad. Let me recap everything that we covered in this video. We learned about components. Again, I am repeating, what is a component? A component is a JavaScript function that returns JSX. And we also learned about JSX. What is JSX? JSX stands for JavaScript XML. It is an extension of JavaScript which looks like HTML, but it isn't HTML. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.